Okay, we're recording, my friend. Okay, Joseph, how you doing, my friend?
Hello.
You're in Chicago, right?
Yeah. How are you, Rob?
I'm doing good, my friend. Thank you for joining me. I know you're very busy. So for everybody who doesn't know, this is Joseph, who is from Help for Ukraine. Is that correct? Is that the term, the brand that you're kind of going by right now, Help for Ukraine, or is it Keep
Oh,
Kids Learning?
Care for
I'm
Ukraine
sorry, Care
on
for Ukraine.
great. Yeah. I was through the GoFundMe. It's Care for Ukraine,
Okay.
along with Keep the Kids Learning.
Okay, all right. So, and just so people know, Joseph is from the United States. He's in Chicago right now, but he lives or has lived in Ukraine for what, the last 15 years or so?
About 10 years now. 10
Okay,
years.
okay. So
Yeah,
Joseph has lived in Ukraine, and you have an interesting background. You're an engineer and logistics, right? That's your background, correct?
right. An architectural engineer and biomedical engineer with
Okay.
working with healthcare around the world.
Excellent, man. So you started this organization kind of leaning into your skills, which is logistics, which is getting supplies from place to place, organizing things. And you've been doing that pretty much since the war began. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing that touched me was that you were filling a need that a lot of people, they're focused on certain aspects, how food, all these things that people need. But you said, these refugee children need to keep learning. Their lives have been disrupted. Their parents, half of their parents, their fathers are back in a lot of cases are back in Ukraine fighting. If they're lucky, they were able to get away. We should point out that the refugees are in some ways lucky because they're not trapped there. And so you came up with a plan to kind of help them learn, but you also mentioned that this is also helping out the teachers as well, who you're able to give them not only school supplies to help teach the kids, but some money as well. Is that correct?
Right. They're basically, you've got two groups of people. You have refugees. Those are the people who have left Ukraine. They're in Hungary. They're in Poland. Okay. Then
Right.
you have internally displaced people, IDPs. And these are the people that have moved from the eastern part of the country, have been pushed out of the eastern part of the country to the western part of the country. Many have nowhere to go, and they're running into issues that many refugees are running into, and that is they can't afford to live in a lot of the refugee countries in Europe. You have an economic disparity here.
Right.
You also have most of the IDPs and refugees are women and children because the men can't leave the country and the wives aren't leaving their husbands. And
Right.
so they're in the western part of the country. And so when they say that there's 5 million refugees, those are the people who have left the country. There's 7 million IDPs for an aggregate of up to maybe 15 million people not in their homes. The teachers, their schools are gone.
Yeah.
So, and so you have, the idea here is to keep some continuity, some socialization going with the kids, some connection to their peer groups, someone to talk to.
Right.
And it gives the teachers a chance to identify issues that might be coming up. Yeah, something as simple as kids brushing their teeth is a problem. And that's the teachers, just like in the United States, the teachers help raise the kids.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like it could be really overwhelming because there's so many people that want to help, but the needs are so great. And so the idea of really allocating the proper resources to the proper places sounds to me like a huge challenge. But what I like about, when I spoke to you originally, and got connected to you through, thanks to a viewer, by the way, your daughter, right? I think your
Yeah.
daughter was the viewer.
Yeah.
Thank you, by the way. But basically, besides that connection, and just, I could tell that your heart's in the right place, was the fact that, you're set up and perfectly equipped for this. So when people talk about they wanted to give money, I said, just hold on, give if you want. I don't want to stop anybody from helping, but we're not going to rush into this because the need is going to last for a long time. And
Exactly.
we don't even know when this war is going to be over, if it's going to be over anytime soon. But if it ended tomorrow, the need would be over a year long. And where I think people can really help is by stepping into that void of when the cameras kind of point to the next crisis or whatever is going on, because there will be, that we can help kind of make sure, at least in some way, we can help a little bit with the kids, with also, you've branched off into, and one of the reasons you're in Chicago, and actually you're in your car right now waiting on a doctor to bring diabetes medicine. You've also shifted as well, while you're doing the Keep Children Learning, by supplying salaries and school supplies for kids, pop-up schools for the refugees. You've also shifted into, okay, there's a lot of medical supplies, even personal hygiene products that people need, correct? So you're doing that right now, right?
Absolutely. Toothbrushes, toothpaste, basic hygiene products. These are the items that every day are needed, and along with the medications. And
right.
So, some of the things that you really don't think about that we take for granted, you got to start looking at. One of the most important things that I'm telling people right now is there's going to be a reconstruction phase, and it's a long phase. And historically, in conflicts, and we haven't seen a conflict like this in Europe since World War II. Okay, Reconstruction began the moment the first bullet was fired.
Right. Exactly.
We have to. So this is why you start looking as a logistics. You're going, as the country is being torn down, it's also being rebuilt.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And it's a concurrent effort. You don't tear it down and rebuild. We've got to get in there. So we've got to keep the health of the people. We've got to keep, the social structures intact. And one of the fundamental social structures is the schools, gives the parents a chance to work, gives kids a chance to talk, and it gives people a chance to go, oh, you know what? We got a group of kids that, we need to get these items to, or we need to get these services to. And this is reconstruction. It's ongoing right now.
It is ongoing. Yeah. And I think, we were talking about, so my trip to Ukraine has been folded into a broader trip to Europe. Right now it's Paris, Warsaw, and then hopefully hooking up with you and going into Ukraine on one of your trips in. And you have several cities that you visit. So my trip has been, kind of penciled in as the early to mid-June for Ukraine. We're not making any solid plans right now because it makes no sense. Everything is just extraordinarily fluid, correct?
Correct. We don't know what the situation is going to be like. What we do know, though, Rob, is there's going to be a situation.
Right. And the better prepared we are for it. And so some of the things that you had mentioned, well, let's talk about some of the cities that you're going to. Lviv is kind of like the jump off point, I guess. And then you said Kiev, Kharkiv, what other cities?
Chernihiv, Mykolaiv, possibly Dnipro.
Okay. So these are cities, for people who aren't familiar with Ukraine, are these places, well, we know that Kiev and Kharkiv have seen action. These are all places that have seen more than just the occasional missile strike, right? They've actually
Right.
endured some Russian. Yeah.
Chernihiv is a city northeast of Kiev. Heavy fighting. Much of the city is gone.
Right.
It just happened. It's a depending upon what happens situationally within the conflict over the next month, these areas may be under conflict restrictions. They may not.
Right.
But Mykolaiv, it's under heavy missile fire right now. So
we had talked about, you know, it was kind of the wild, wild west when things began, kind of porous borders. And, you know, as always happens, war profiteers took advantage of some of that. And they're tightening some of those controls now, which is a good thing. But you mentioned that human trafficking is becoming an issue. So talk a little bit about that. What's happening? What are they doing? They're trafficking young women, young men?
Young women, boys.
Okay.
Which is why also we want to keep the social structures, the kids talking to each other.
Yeah.
You know, I call them kids, but you know, you've got 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. They can be easily enticed into a situation that really looks good, you know, looks like a rescue from a horrible situation, and they're just put in a worse one. Without maintaining some sort of observational points, you know, there's going to be a lot of kids at risk. You know, there's a lot of good guys in the world, but there's a lot of bad guys too.
Oh, for sure. And as anybody knows who's traveled, like when you're vulnerable, it's when you're most at risk for that bad taxi driver who's going to take you on it. And sometimes you get lucky, and a lot of times, you know, there's so many good people that help you out, but the more vulnerable the more you are, the better street smart you have to be. And unfortunately, these people are very vulnerable, and it's wild and chaotic. So it's a perfect stew for that kind of stuff. So the two things that you focus on are keeping the kids in school, keeping them learning, helping out the teachers. They have these pop-up schools, and also keeping the social structure in place, and also collecting medical supplies. You had mentioned that you've gotten some vitamins. You're waiting right now for some diabetes medicine. You had mentioned feminine hygiene products are in demand. There's a lot of things that you need. So for people who want to kind of keep up with your journey, I'm not able to repost every time you repost, unfortunately, but if they want to, they can follow you at your GoFundMe page, or what's the best place to just follow your updates as you're able to update, you know, in between doing what you do?
Either one of the GoFundMe. We're trying to keep those updated. Some of the teachers are going to start updating there just because I'm jumping around a lot.
Right. Okay.
And you know, get their perspective. I wish there was a better way, but that is the way. That is the best way to follow what's going on and you know what we're doing.
Well, you know, and I know you're busy, and that's one of the things I've tried to be respectful of that without asking too much of you, because my mission is to help, not to hurt. And that's one of the things I ask that people, when they're considering, is not to, you know, bombard the website or anything with, you know, questions or information that's readily available on Google, or, you know, I don't mind when people bombard me with like, hey, where can I watch the show in Houston? I'm like, go to rawtravel.tv/where to watch, you know, like it's right there. But you know, I'm here, you're there doing God's work. You need to be free to do the work that you're doing. And so if you have ideas though, on things that you think can help, I think they can reach you there, be a good place to reach you. I will post your website address, you know.
I think it is. I really putting a website together or something like that. I just haven't had the time to do it, Rob.
Yeah, no, it's not. Trust me, I know. I mean, I could use that as an excuse for never doing anything, but at the end of the day, like certain things move you and you're like, I'm making this my priority and everything else has to kind of fill in when it can. And that's the way I kind of feel about this. We're trying to keep our show on the air. So, while and keep good content coming. And so this is the best way I think that we can help. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you, probably in Warsaw, hopefully heading down with you into in country. We'll talk about those details. We'll just have to see the way it is, when I finally get there, man. I wish I was there right now, but
Well,
you're in Chicago anyway.
Either way, I'll be in Warsaw.
Yeah. All right.
From there, what the strategy is going to be that
right.
Making those decisions is a ways down the road. Yeah, it's too early.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, speaking of Warsaw, I just have a quick question. This is, I guess, for anybody who might want to volunteer. Are they inundated with too many people? Like, are hotel rooms full? There's nowhere to stay. It's taken up with refugees. So you're really going to be taking up a hotel room or a Airbnb that could go to a refugee? Is it like that? Or can you feel pretty free to go somewhere like Warsaw and you're not getting in the way, doing more harm than good, I guess?
Yeah, I think that if you have a plan of how you want to help or what you're going to do, and you can hit the ground running, then come to Warsaw. What isn't working, and we're running into it, is people who want to help. Good people definitely want to help, but we don't need their skills yet.
Yeah.
And we can't and can't guide them in what to do.
Right. Exactly. You have to be you have to be ready to rock and roll on your own. Really, you have to be able to say, look, I know how to do this. Is there a need for this? And if there is, then how am I going to accomplish this without leaning on a ton of other people who are also trying to figure it out? Because, I'm used to that as an entrepreneur. I think some people are not. They need infrastructure to plug into. Hopefully that will come. In the meantime, the whole reason for us being with you is that it's grassroots. And so that all the money that we're raising through merchandise sales, and by the way, guys, I'll take you through a tour of my messy apartment here so you can see, Joseph, what we've ordered. I got my Ukraine shirt, but I've ordered, we designed these coffee mugs here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's basically based off a photo that I took at Independence Square and converted it into some kind of painting. And it's just Let Freedom Ring, support Ukraine. Coffee mug, guys. If you buy one of these on our merch page, $10 goes to help Joseph's efforts. We also have pint glasses. I won't take you to the kitchen to show you those, but all right, maybe I will, because I'm going to talk anyway. So I'll take you to the kitchen to show you those. And then we do have shirts as well. I guess I should have worn that one, but that's one way you can help. You can also donate to our GoFundMe page or directly to Joseph's GoFundMe page. All those links are on at RawTravel giveback.com. RawTravelGiveback.com. You guys have seen the links. You know where it is, but just in case you're tuning in for the first time, this is the pint glass. So about $10 from each of the merch that we sell goes to Joseph's campaign. And Joseph, as you know, I said, once we get our money amassed, we're not going to do it on GoFundMe. We're going to do a transfer to you so that the money goes directly to you. So as much money as possible goes directly to your organization, because you're not UNICEF or the Red Cross. These are great organizations. They're huge though. And they have, people they have to pay at the top and all the way through, because they have these organizations, but your money is literally going to give some grivnas to the teachers. Literally,
those are the only people getting paid. Drivers, local drivers, and teachers. There's no salaries here. There's not even admin costs. There's people donating those. So
and that's what you need, man. It's gotta be, people donating their time. And I know that there's a lot of people that reached out to me, especially early on, about how they could help. Honestly, I was like, here's a few links, just do it. I sent some money. I even sent some money to the soldiers. I was like, hey man, if this buys you a bulletproof vest or whatever, go for it. But, with 33 billion hopefully coming from our country, the United States, And they finally have shifted from what they thought was going to be guerrilla warfare to, hey, we can win this thing. Let's push them back, and let's win this for real. That's where the 33 billion is going, to change the landscape so that never again can a megalomaniac, insecure little man with a weak chin, but nuclear weapons, push the rest of the world around. And I'm sorry to make fun of his physical characteristics, but I don't like the guy. And, I would love 5 minutes in a room with Putin, man. But if I can't have that, and I know I can't, he might take me, but I think I'd be angry enough I could take him. Who wouldn't want 5 minutes in a room with Putin, right? Probably a bunch of people. But this is much more satisfying because we're well, maybe not as, but it's a good replacement. You're helping the people who need the help, the most. And I think, in an odd way, this is how you answer fascism. With collective good. The collective good will always beat out the individual evil. And the few evil people who get together to do what they think is bad stuff. I mean, they think they're going to just roll over people. No, man, we're stronger than that. And you've proven that. And I want to thank you for what you're doing, man.
Oh, well, look I feel like there's 1,000 of us, and there'd be 1 million if they could, and thank you, really. But it's gonna take the grassroots, little bites. We're gonna eat this elephant one tiny bite at a time, but we're gonna eat this elephant. Definitely.
That's right. And there's a role to play for everybody. The governments are doing what they do. NATO's doing what it does. The EU, the US, they have a role to play, but this role is just as important. And it's where, we specialize in. I know it's where you specialize in. So I'm excited about meeting you, man. I know a month in a couple of weeks seems like 20 years from now in this kind of environment. Right now, just do what you need to do in Chicago, my friend. Safe travels back to Ukraine. And, I'll be in touch as my schedule gets firmed up. And in the meantime, any viewers, that may send you stuff, I'm sure they have some ideas or donate, please do so, guys. And Joseph, just keep doing what you're doing, my friend, and stay safe. I know it's a silly thing to say, but you know how to take care of yourself. So keep doing it,
All right. Well, thank you.
All right, my friend. That's it. Hey, Joseph, stay on the line. I want to talk to you one quick question, okay? And then I'm just going to end the recording right now. Oops.